just landed, and the first place that I came was to this briefing. It should evidence, I want to thank my colleagues. I understand we're here, dear colleague Congresswoman Chu and my colleague and friend Congressman Lundgren. And I think it is important, if this message goes to Iraq, may be very clear that we are bipartisan and we are strong. We are committed and we are not divided on the issues of Camp Ashraf and the seeking of liberty, not Camp Liberty the way it is, but liberty and justice and humanitarianism and fairness and what is right for the people in that camp. We will not rest until that happens. The massacres are unacceptable that have occurred over the time frame, the treatment of women, the treatment of those who have been sick. And if I might, as I've been pointing out to, just walk and point to the deficiencies in water that is adjacent to the camp, and yet we are not allowing human beings to have the decency of clean water, the decency of being able to take care of babies and children, and the threat of military intervention is absolutely unacceptable. So I've come today, and I'm headed to a military function, so I thank you for your courtesies of allowing me to be here, to recommit ourselves to again engage with the State Department. I have a different perspective. Now, every time I have spoken to the Secretary, I know there's a deep and abiding interest. As you well know, we are with many issues, but it will be the members of Congress that will reinforce that we are not divided on making sure that not one more life has to be unnecessarily lost or lost by the complete inadequacies and disrespect of the Iraqi government. We have shed blood for them. We're also concerned about the labeling of this camp as a temporary quarters without the refugee status, so that all of the protections of being refugees, and I'm going to really fight for that. That is a key element, so that all of the international protections are given to those who are now moving to Camp Liberty. I do believe, although as many of you know that we are here in Washington, that it is crucial as well for members of Congress to be able to visit both the remaining persons, Camp Ashraf, and then this location called Camp Liberty. We cannot be blocked by the Iraqi government from going to visit with people who have their stories to tell. And that will be a point that we will make, that all barriers to any members of the House and Senate of the United States of America should be immediately removed, and members of this body should be able to visit, to be able to determine the status and conditions of those who are now suffering because of lack of clean water. I also want to acknowledge that if we designate the individuals as refugees and the camp as a refugee camp, then asylum seekers will be able to benefit from basic protection of their security and well-being under international law. And we need to be guided by international law, not by the law of Iraq. This should be governed by the forces of international goodwill to be able to ensure the protection of all people. Let me close by simply saying that my good friend, Miriam, if I may call her personally by her first name, because we've dialogued over a number of years. I congratulate her for being President-elect of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, and we continue to press the case of the lack of appropriate designation for the MEK. And I hope that we will look to the decisions that have been made, that we will find the opportunity for reconciliation and begin to allow the movement of justice and equality to be recognized for what you are today, and to be able to join in forces that may ultimately bring about a safe democratic Iran that all goodwill people looking for democracy, justice, reunification with family will be able to return to a free, unencumbered Iran that will welcome people from all over the world that have been turned away because of their opposition to this despotic leadership. We hope that that will be the case as we move forward. So, my friends, let me indicate that we have not given up. We will not give out. We will not give in. We will stand for what is right alongside of you, and we look forward to the appropriate response that will be part of the efforts made by this administration, of which I have great faith. I have to continue that faith because whenever I've called, they've responded. This is a tough situation. It may look from a distance that you can do as you please, but I think the call that I make today before the Iraqi government, standing on the principles of freedom that was given to them, give that same freedom to those in Camp Ashraf.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No, I appreciate, I can't express how deeply I appreciate all of you. I know that for this has been an ongoing challenge that continues to dominate almost every aspect of your thinking in your lives. And, it occurs to me that I've appeared many times before you, and I know that the challenges that face many times your loved ones, many times just your fellow countrymen in Camp Liberty, Camp Ashraf, remain. And I know it's very difficult to have the courage to continue. I was talking to one lady yesterday where one of her sisters was hurt very badly in one of the camps here just in the last week or two, and that she's now confined to a wheelchair. So I know that this is something that continues to occupy so much of your mind. I believe that the living conditions at Liberty, at Camp Liberty, are atrocious. I think that's almost a deliberate effort to try to make this process fail. And the people at Camp Ashraf are resisting the coercion of the mullahs in many cases to try to force them into doing certain things that are certainly not in their best interest. And the one question that I ask is, where is the American State Department? Where are they in dealing with this issue? Because they could change this thing overnight if they would simply take away this terrorist designation. They could change it overnight. That effort is not just an effort for those people inside those, what is really a prison designated by the UN, but is an effort to try to see freedom gain strength throughout the world. We're in this so-called Arab Spring that we have to be very careful. And I pray you grant me diplomatic immunity just for a moment, okay? Because my deepest desire is to see the Iranian people and the Arab world entirely have a chance to walk in the sunshine of freedom. That's my deep desire. And I know... And I believe that is the desire of all of you. And I know that there have been despotic regimes that have suppressed that and oppressed that. And the great challenge that we have in America is to try to see that freedom germinate and to grow, but at the same time not to see groups related to the Muslim Brotherhood and others gain strength to the extent that they take away freedom even more. And it's a very difficult thing to do. But the first thing that we must do is to separate those who are committed to freedom from those who are not. And the State Department has that responsibility, and my judgment at this point is they're failing pretty badly. And I hope that somehow that they are listening to some of us and that the situation changes. I will say to you, and forgive me for being political, but I think that there's great hope in the change of an administration that may occur quite soon. And if that does happen, I think you'll see a greater emphasis on making sure that freedom is the byword, not just making sure that we have friendly relations with whoever is in power. That is always a great danger when we just simply say, well, they were elected, so they're the ones we have to deal with. Certainly we have to deal with foreign governments and even unfriendly ones, but we must always make sure that the deepest commitment of this flagship of freedom called America is to see the light of freedom fall across every lonely face on this planet. And until that happens, our job is not finished. God bless you all for continuing that work.